Good morning. Happy Friday and welcome to Creative Mornings St. Pete. I'm coming to you live from the top of a tree because this month's theme is nature. So here I am in nature. Wherever you're tuning in from, thank you for being here with us this morning. If this is your first time, thank you so much for getting up early to be here with us. And if you've been here enough times to not be at all surprised that I'm in a tree right now, well then hey, welcome back, Fran. Creative Mornings is an international breakfast event series with more than 210 chapters all over the world. Our goal is to connect, inspire, and support the creative community. And when we say creative community, we really mean everyone because we believe that everyone is creative, so everybody is welcome here. We are the Tampa Bay chapter of Creative Mornings. I'm Tara Siegel like the bird because I'm in a tree. And I'm your host, and I'm part of an incredible team of volunteers and partners who donate their time, talent, and resources to make sure these events get put together every single month for our community. Our events are always free. They're always on the fourth Friday of the month, and for the foreseeable future, they will be here online. So in order for everyone to get the most out of today's meetup, there are a few logistics to go over. Everyone's mic is muted, and it's going to stay that way so we don't have an audio meltdown like echo chamber situation. But you can talk in the chat feature, which is down at the bottom right of your screen. You can message everybody at once, or you can send private messages to individuals. So pretend like you're mixing and mingling at Station House, and if you see somebody you recognize, say hello. You can turn your video on and off. We prefer that you have it on so we can see your shining faces, but if you'd rather just tune in from under your covers, that's okay too. We're just glad that you're here. And if you want to see who else is here, you can go to the gallery view. So switch your view up in the top right corner. You can go from speaker view to gallery view and just scroll through all the lovely faces of people who are attending just like you. And if you want to go back to the main presenter, just switch back to speaker view. If you have other inquiries about Zoom, our chapter, other things related to this experience this morning, you can pop them into the chat and someone on our team or from our community will help you out. And since the Creative Mornings experience is all about community and connection, I'm going to turn it over to another familiar face, Andrea, our lead welcomer, while I climb down from this tree.
Hello, it's me. Ooh, that's a cool background. I'm here to remind you how you can engage with us. Like Tara said, turn on your video so you can see our face and send us pictures. I think we have a little slide of what kind of pictures we're looking for. We're looking for selfies, merch that you bought, your pets, food, all the best kind of pictures. If you could email them to us at stpete@creativemornings.com or DM them to us on Instagram, CM St. Pete. And we're asking no text on those DMs. Just have the picture clean, beautiful, pure, so we can use them in our photo albums. And then this nice background I have, because I'm actually in my apartment, I'm going to go over kind of how you could have this lovely experience. If you check in the chat, there's some options. You could download different backgrounds, and then if you want to turn it on, I'm going to teach you how I do it, and hopefully that helps you. Down by your little camera, there's an arrow that goes up. If you click that, it says choose virtual background. Go in there. There's some backgrounds. Oh, San Francisco. Cool. This one is from where I grew up in Monterey. Cool. This is Demon's Landing, a video I took myself. This could be you traveling the world right from your apartment. Try it out. And now I'm going to India, our lovely mug librarian.
Good morning. I'm India, the mug librarian. I'm all settled into my own little nature corner here. The sun is shining, the birds are chirping. There's the sounds of lawns being maintained. Your usual morning sounds. So this is my mug this morning. I'm twinning with it. And I'm drinking a kitchen cabinet tea, which is still very hot because this mug does not have a handle. But if you're like me and you're starting to run out of bevs for your morning, good news, Tea Bella has reopened at Station House and at Oxford Exchange, and Maid is doing pickups from their cannery. So you can find more details about each of those things happening on each of their social medias. So this mug is perfect for taking a picture with. So if anybody else has a smiley face mug or a fun mug, switch over to gallery view and show us what your mug is looking like this morning. And then hold it there for a second, snap some selfies, take some pics. Okay, we're good. And breakfast this morning, I have a bowl of Cara oranges that I'm gonna munch on. You can also show us while we're in gallery view what you're munching on this morning if you want. I'll hold my bowl up again. It's oranges. No. Or if you don't eat breakfast in the morning, because that's a thing. All right. And now we're going to talk about Slido. So we'll be doing a Q&A today. And we'll be using a nifty little app called Slido. So if you grab your phone and go to sli.do, you can enter the event code SPNature, and there you can ask your own questions, upvote other people's questions, and that's how we'll gather our questions for the speakers at the end of the talk. You don't have to wait until the end of the talk. You can go ahead and pop them in there whenever they come to you, and then we'll see which ones are the most upvoted, and we'll ask them at the end of the talk. And now we're going to go back to Tara.
Hello, is it back to me? It is. Okay, I'm just going to say yes, it is. Thank you, Sunshine Squad. In case you miss it, you can tag us in your posts and stories today at @CM_St. Pete. We really love to see what you enjoyed most about our events. And now that they're digital, it's even more fun to kind of see how you're experiencing these events from wherever you are today. So tag us in your photos, and then before you put like clever captions and other tags, if you want to DM them to us, we'll put them in our album because we've been struggling to get photos since we're all just in our own houses doing selfies. So send us your selfies. So I'm not sure how many of you know this, but I live with my grandma. She just turned 87 this week, and she's low-key been the prop manager for Creative Mornings for the last 3.5 years. So I've invited her today to talk about our merchandise. Our merchandise is donated by Wax and Hive, and the merch sales are the sole way that we get funding for the chapter. So unbelievably, it's actually more expensive to host digital events than in-person ones, and it's a lot harder to sell merchandise. So we're going to try to start selling some of the merch that you may have seen at our live events. And here to tell you about the things that you can buy to help us not go broke is Betty Bennett.
Hi, everybody. I have some nice mugs and candles and t-shirts and a few other things to show you.
All right, so what's your favorite thing so far? Just go ahead and start with one thing that you really like.
The candles.
All right. Tell us about the candles.
They're very nice. They smell. Let me see what this one. It smells like vanilla. Very, very nice. Nice color.
What's it called?
Oh, I don't know what it's called. Apple, cinnamon, butter, vanilla.
That's the flavor that you're getting through the scent, and it's called Oprah's House because that's what Oprah's House smells like.
Do you want me to open all of them?
You don't have to. We have 2 other flavors. The Shady Hayride, which is kind of like a nice pumpkin butterscotchy smell, and Le Tits Now, which is more of like a vanilla chestnut. So if you want candles, a lot of you have said that you're about burned out on the candles that you bought a while back, so you can replenish with us. What else do we have?
We also have mugs, very colorful, pretty green. The saying is, let's get this bread.
I'll show them a close-up. Designed by Jimmy Breen, let's get this bread. It's a good saying. So give bread, get mug. All right, what else? How about the t-shirts?
We also have t-shirts, and we only have one left in an extra small. So you got to be tiny, tiny like Tara, not me. And the back is Creative Mornings, St. Pete. And the front is bikes and dogs and beer and coffee and babies and sunshine and pelicans. St. Pete.
Pretty much sums it up. And what about these other t-shirts?
Okay, we have 2 extra large in white. And hey, you're great. Very, very pretty. Very nice. And that's more my size.
Super soft. Love this t-shirt. These are the last 2. And then what about these other mugs? What's going on with those?
These mugs have been retired.
From the mug library.
And they're very, very nice. They're all different. Some have sayings, some has figures on them. And I don't think she wants to take them all the way up there, all of them.
So we have like an enormous mug library. And so these are the ones that have, been with us a couple years and we're retiring them. So it's a one-of-a-kind vintage mug that you can grab for only $5. What else?
And we also have this banner, Sunshine City, USA. Very, very nice. Great for on the walls, in the bedrooms, or anywhere. Nice for children.
And then what about the little tiny things? Mm-hmm.
Well, they're going to go with whatever they buy.
Well, now she's giving it away. If you buy something, we'll probably throw in some tiny things. But if you just want to buy them, what do we have here? I'll make her say it.
Oh, don't fuck it up. That's terrible. Hey, you're great. Where's the buttons?
Oh, we didn't bring them. This is the other one.
I read it.
So we have a Hey You're Great sticker and a Hey You're Great magnet, and then a Don't Fuck It Up sticker. So if you want just little baby things. All right. Anything else that you'd like to say to the people?
It would be nice if some people would buy something so we can keep Creative Mornings going.
You're here. Thank you. You can go sit down now if you'd like. I appreciate you.
Thank you.
I love you.
Love you too.
So, if you want, we have people standing by. There's a phone number maybe on your screen. Couple of price points. You can also email us, DM us. We take any kind of communication. We'll ship it to you, or you can pick it up at Pete's in downtown St. Pete. So there you have it. So this morning, I am so happy to be welcoming back Gio Cero to our stage. Gio has been a featured creative at many of our events, and he's here today to read a poem that he wrote just for us to kick off the nature-themed event. Please welcome Gio Cero.
Hey everybody, how we doing? So I wrote this poem yesterday, but I wrote it about I last on the supermoon. I stayed out on Horseshoe Island, and I like to do little like manifestation, kind of like just be with myself rituals where I can kind of really move into that space of trying to achieve my goals. So like every new moon, which is the new moon today, and every full moon, I try to kind of just reevaluate where I am and then use nature as kind of a way to stay on, just stay on it. There's a couple ways you can reach me. On mainly all my stuff is on Instagram. So Gio's Typos is where you can find all my stuff. I have been writing haikus like a madman. I have my haiku fence in front of my house, which I have posted the address, so you can come and take a haiku, be my guest. You may even see me typing in the window, so that's always a fun extra. But for now, I'll read this poem, and I just named it CM Nature, CM St. Pete. Extrasensory, reverie cultivating moon meditation. Rejuvenation, planting seeds mind dilation, waxing inspiration. Phases of our lives, between the high and low tides, some waning presides. On new and full moons, I add wood to my fire, reignite my spark. I speak to my guides for counsel on fruition, metaphysicians. Sunrise cognition, birds are Gaian musicians, answers are given. In tranquil ocean, be consistent in devotion, like waves at the shore. Pace it to nature. In time you will receive gifts. Breathe in patient bliss. Worthy to receive, potential on verge of bloom, flowers you'll see soon. That was the poem. Just so you know, this was all in haiku, so it was 9 haikus to tell one story about manifestation on an island. So thanks for having me back. Nice to see you all.
Thank you so much, Gio. And that's so impressive. I'm glad you told us that, because it was feeling very like paced, but I don't know that I would have known haiku, which is like the nature style of poem, right?
I think so. I just like haikus. They're just fun.
So you can follow Gio and his poetry at Gios_typos. And if you're looking for a gift to treat yourself or someone else, I highly recommend that you commission him to make you a poem. And Gio, are you still doing your fence poems?
Yeah, so basically I have on my Instagram, there's a place where you can choose a number from 1 to 1,000, which will correlate to my thesaurus. So it's kind of a surprise on what your word will be. And then I just take those, I write all of the haikus, I post them, and then everything goes on the fence. And as the fence gets like kind of depleted, I just keep putting haikus out there. So it's so I don't even put it in anymore. I just leave it out. It's out all night and all day. So don't steal it, but come and take a haiku.
That's awesome. Thank you. Yeah, definitely check that out, guys. That's a really cool like community poetry project going on. So staying with our theme, I'm pleased to introduce our musical guest, Napoleon the Wilderness. I'm in awe of how many talented musicians are in Tampa Bay and so grateful to have featured so many of them at our events. So please welcome Nikhil Johns of Napoleon the Wilderness.
Hey, good morning, everybody. As Tara mentioned, I'm Nikhil from Napoleon the Wilderness. I play a lot of music around town when we're not in quarantine. And I'm really honored to be here this morning to kick off this awesome event. This is so cool. This is my first Creative Mornings morning. And yeah, so in the theme of nature, I have a couple songs for you this morning. I should mention, my internet is not the strongest, so I recorded a video before this to play for you. But the first song that I'm going to play is called Sunday Afternoon. And I wrote it a few years ago when I was still living in Gainesville. And I was about to move back here to St. Pete. And it felt like a new chapter of my life was beginning. I was in Gainesville for 7 years. I went to school at UF. And while I was really excited to, move forward, it's exciting to move. But I was also thinking about, all the things that I would miss in Gainesville. And I still remember the day that I wrote this on. I was sitting in my room, and it was beautiful outside. It was Sunday, of course, and it was just like the perfect day. And I was just really reminiscing on all the things that I would miss. And this song came out of it. It's called Sunday Afternoon. And I really hope you enjoy it. Thanks for listening.
Floating down the river, hoping we'll find Neverland, crystal waters. Tell me now, can you feel it in the moments, flashing by like daggers? Catch them if you can. Sunday afternoon, crept into my room. Fall is almost over, feeling cold and sober, waking up from dreams, drunken memories. Those days are gone too soon. It's Sunday afternoon. Watching out my window as the world keeps turning over, never looking back. Slow it down, drawing lines in the sand, hoping maybe someday our impressions would last. Sunday afternoon, crept into my room. Fall is almost over, feeling cold and sober, waking up from dreams, drunken memories. Our days are gone too soon. It's Sunday afternoon. Those fleeting moments were just borrowed yesterdays, and still we hope that in tomorrow we'll find better days, better days. Oh, Sunday afternoon crept into my room. Fall is almost over, feeling cold and sober, waking up from dreams, drunken memories. Our days are gone too soon. It's Sunday afternoon.
Hey everybody, thanks so much for listening. Once again, my name is Nikhil from Napoleon in the Wilderness. You can find all my music on Spotify, Apple Music, wherever you listen under Napoleon in the Wilderness, including this next song, which is called Daisy. And I figured it was appropriate because I'm told the theme today is nature. Although I will say Daisy is based off of The Great Gatsby, so it's a reference to Daisy Buchanan, but I still feel like it's appropriate. Thank you so much for listening. Thank you, Creative Mornings, for having me to kick off this awesome event, and I hope you have an awesome day. This one's called Daisy.
Daisy's popping bottles in a sundress. I'm thinking maybe I should think less. We got our hearts broke a month ago. I'll toast, never end the night alone. Daisy, Daisy, we could travel overseas. Baby, baby, hop into my limousine. If we hit those green lights, make it to the coastline, just like the old times. Oh my God, I've been holding on too long. I can't sleep, I just dream about the way we used to be. Daisy. I've been thinking all day long, knowing you'll be here. I was singing all of our old songs to try to make things clear. Oh well, Daisy, Daisy, we could travel overseas. Baby, baby, hop into my limousine. If we hit those green lights, make it to the coastline, just like the old times. Oh my God, I've been holding on too long. I can't sleep, I just dream about the way we used to be. Daisy, maybe we should just be honest. There's nothing left back there but broken promises, and all those nights we spent down by the water. We wrote our names in the sand, but then the tide came. Oh my God, I've been holding on too long. I can't sleep, I just dream about the way we used to be. Daisy.
Thanks, everybody. Have a great day.
Thank you, Nikhil. So you can follow him at Napoleon the Wilderness. That Sunday afternoon song has been stuck in my head for days. I really love it. So thank you for being here today. For the theme of nature, we're presenting a trio of speakers to cover land, air, and sea. Our first guest is Ed Straight. He and his wife Gail have been running a wildlife rescue and rehabilitation operation out of their house for over 30 years. In that time, they've helped nearly 50,000 injured or abandoned animals, including one or two that I've dropped off there. When I called to ask Ed if he would join us today, it was immediately clear that there was like no way he was going to be able to join us for a live presentation. Things are just way too unpredictable. He had like a bunch of baby animals in his hand while we were on the phone. So earlier this week, we went and filmed a segment so you could see all of these baby animals. So go ahead and roll it.
Hi, I'm Ed Straight. I'm the president of Wildlife Incorporated. We're located out here on Bradenton Beach on Anna Marie Island. We take in all types of orphan, injured, or sick wildlife licensed by the state of Florida and the federal government. You know, we started out as this being just a little hobby. At that time, I worked for Manatee County. I was in charge of the emergency medical service. Gail had worked part-time at a vet's office. She had a little experience. Gail wanted a little hobby on the side. That was in 1987 when we got our license, so we've been doing this now for 33 years. We'd take in a little screech owl here and a little squirrel there, and over the years, people kept dropping out and our calls kept increasing, and one day we found that we're the only rehabber in Manatee County. Last year we logged in around 3,000 things, and I think this year we're going to probably surpass that. We've been averaging around 15 to 20 things a day right now coming in through here. Back there we have 8 little fawns. One just came in yesterday. They have a whole side of the house in the back through our big flight. If they want to get up speed and run, they can. It's really a pretty decent environment for them. Right over here we have our big tortoises. They're quite an attraction here in the neighborhood, but they're exotics. People buy them in the pet store when they're tiny, and somehow we end up with them. So they're about 100 pounds there. It's challenging. We have very good volunteers that help us. There's things going on here and there and everywhere, and we enjoy it. And thanks again for visiting us today. You know, you can reach us on our website at wildlifeinc.org. We're always welcome for donations. We do use volunteers. If you're interested in volunteering, then give us a call and we can tell you more about it.
So thank you to Ed and Gail for letting us peek inside their rescue. They were so sweet, and there are wildlife rescues and rescuers all over Tampa Bay. And honestly, they're all overwhelmed right now because it's spring and that means baby season. So when I asked them what people could do to better support their local wildlife, Ed and Gail told me to tell all of you to please keep your cats inside. We love cats, but they are wildlife murder machines, especially in the spring. Don't use poison around your yard, so that means no pesticides and no poison traps for rodents, because those ultimately end up poisoning birds and other wildlife because that's their food source. And don't trim your trees in the springtime. If you're a fisherman, don't cut your line. And if you find an injured or orphaned animal, please take it to a licensed rehabilitator and don't try to rehab it on your own or make it your pet. That was a tough one for me. I definitely tried to put one of those little fawns in my car after they licked my knees for like 20 minutes. So, but really, you do more good if you just turn them over to a licensed rehabilitator. So speaking of wildlife, our next speaker is Jason Cowen. He is the president of Friends of Boyd Hill and helps run the Birds of Prey program at the preserve. Today he joins us from Boyd Hill with some very special guests. Please welcome Jason Cowen.
Hello everyone, I'm Jason. I'm here at Boyd Hill. As she just said, I'm the president of the Friends group here, as well as a helper on the Bird of Prey program. If you guys don't know what Boyd Hill is, it's actually a preserve owned by the state of St. Petersburg, which is a pretty unique thing for us to own a preserve of this size. We're about 400 acres, so it's pretty awesome that a local government owns that. If you're also curious what a Friends group does, Friends group exists in partnership with a lot of parks, refuges, preserves, etc., from local up to federal levels of government. And we exist primarily to help support staff in terms of volunteering, fundraising, funding certain projects, especially in years when budgets may be cut by the government. And we're also ultimately here in case things ever go south and the land needs actual advocating for it on a political scene. We're here, we're not ever stopped from talking or anything else. So we'll always stand up for the land if we ever need to stand for the land. So I help run the Bird of Prey program here. At any given time, Boyd Hill has about 20 birds of prey that cannot be released. Their injuries are all permanent. They range from a hurt wing to a missing eye to imprintation or brain issues. Right here, we actually have Nyx. She's one of our great horned owls. They're the biggest owl species in Florida, one of the biggest by weight North America. And they're called great horn because these feather tufts on top of her head, they are not horns, they are not ears, they are literally just feathers designed for communication and camouflage. Now, great horned owls in the wild are very, very apex predators. They steal nests, they steal other things, babies for food. They're pretty ruthless. They're aggressive. Luckily, Nyx with us is a pretty awesome, relaxed bird. But people often ask about the dangers of raptors and handling them, and people always worry about the mouths. On raptors, the feet are what is the main risk. It's how they kill their prey. If you can see, Nyx's feet are rather large. Great horned owls have about 400 pounds of pressure per square inch in their talons. And they're actually unique because they can actually squeeze, and they have ratchet-like tendons, so they can apply pressure once and then maintain that without having to actually keep their grip tight. So they're pretty beastly animals, but again, if you treat them right, like we do with ours, the rescues, they're perfectly well behaved on the glove. Another guest going to come in here for just a second. This is one of our rangers, Amy, and this is Carson. So Carson is an American kestrel, and named after Rachel Carson, who is one of a leading conservationists who wrote the book Silent Springs to expose DDT poisoning issues. So they're one of the smallest raptors in North America. They're actually a falcon, genetically speaking, and they act like a falcon in a lot of ways. They're built like a falcon, but they have a lot of hawk-like tendencies. They're actually called sparrow hawks, is one of their kind of more slang terms. One cool thing, you can see that mustache underneath their eyes. If you ever see that mustache on a bird of prey, it's probably a falcon, whether it's a peregrine, merlin, or a kestrel. She also has those cool tubercles in her nostril that falcons have because they fly really fast. You ever see like a airplane cone in the middle of the jet engine? It does the kind of the same thing. But they're quite awesome birds. Now, Carson's story is pretty unique, going back to actually what they said at the Wildlife Inc. Carson was kept legally as a pet. So likely the person that found her as a baby meant well, wanted to help her, ended up imprinting her to humans. So by the time people discovered her, that she was legally held, she had rector feathers and wings in a small cage, and she thinks people take care of her. So she has to live with us the rest of her life. Hopefully until all of her wings heal, but even beyond that, because her brain tells her that she's kind of one of us. She does not know that she's supposed to be out there hunting. So that goes to a few different points about what you guys can do. And just like they said in the previous video, if you find an injured animal, talk to a licensed rehabilitator. Don't do it on your own. You are going to do the animal the best service by going to professionals for help. If you can't find one fast, you can always call a local vet or preserve, and they almost always have a phone number book of rehabilitators in their office. One of the other big things is do not litter, and also pesticide use. We like to poison things like mice and roaches. What do these guys eat? Mice and roaches. We end up poisoning them. One of the other big things is to help advocate for animals, they need places to live. So preserves in natural areas, keeping clean water also, for example. So go to your local parks, state-owned parks, national parks, and use them, and talk about using them. And while you're there, if they have a friends group, donate to them a little bit, a few dollars. One of the big things is with taxpayer areas, if the taxpayers using the areas, they'll get funded more. If they're not being used, they won't get funded more. And one of the other big things, if you have the time, is a lot of like legislation needs to be helped out. So you can always join a nonprofit that does more legislative stuff. It seems intimidating, but you don't have to be some environmental law degreed hero. A lot of them just need bodies and voices. You'd be amazed how many things get stopped or passed for good because people just showed up that cared. So thank you guys for your time. Hope you enjoyed.
Thank you so much, Jason. And Boyd Hill is open, right?
Correct. Right now it's free admission because our building is closed. We don't know how long it'll be like this, but it is for now.
Great. So if y'all want to get out in some nature, and if you've never been to Boyd Hill and you're local to the area, please check it out. It's a really neat space. So our final speaker is Neill Holland. I know Neill as the director of OceanAid 360 and the head wrangler of the Ghost Trap Rodeo, but I recently found out that he has like a whole other identity as this international man of programming. So live from his houseboat, please welcome Neill Holland.
Hello, Creative Mornings. Hopefully you all can see me. Coming to you from our floating operations center here for OceanAid 360, which is a houseboat that we use to travel around and conduct our marine debris cleanup projects. So today I'm going to talk to you about the path that led to designing and orchestrating the Ghost Trap Rodeo event series, which is a semi-competitive and family-friendly event series where we organize volunteers to walk shorelines and bring their shallow draft vessels out in search of derelict crab traps and also other types of man-made marine debris. I want to kick this off with a little opportunity to guess the number of pounds that were collected over the last year of programming at our Ghost Trap Rodeo. We had 7 events and 350 volunteers. So in the comments section of today's talk, if you'd like to put up a guess as to how many pounds we collected, I invite you to do so. The winner is going to be chosen kind of like a Price is Right situation where Jim may have with 3 tons. But anyway, all right, let's get into it. So Andrew, if you'd go ahead and start the slideshow. Basically, I am a born and raised St. Petersburg, Florida native. I grew up fishing here on the shorelines around downtown St. Pete. That's me on the right-hand side, fishing just south of the St. Pete Pier. And as I grew up here, plying the waters of Weeden Island and Fort DeSoto and all of that, I really had a passion for fishing and being out on the water, and spent every bit of free time out there, skipping high school classes and the whole bit. And so I got my captain's license from the U.S. Coast Guard at the age of 18 and kicked off a fishing charter business. Ran it here for 3 years in St. Petersburg, and after a time decided that I wanted to pursue higher education and moved to New York. This next picture here is of me fishing in the East River up there between Manhattan and Brooklyn. And I ended up spending 11 years there, where I started, after graduating college, I started a seafood business in Brooklyn called Bonchovy. And our signature dish was fried anchovies, believe it or not. Starting this business was an interesting experiment. I'd never been entrepreneurial so much like this in seafood or anything, but it definitely taught me that branding was critical. That picture there with the Bonchovy was here. That was something that got us a lot of views and started to garner a lot of interest. So started Bonchovy, operated it for about 4 years, and we made it to some good success. We were profiled in the New York Times dining section. That's the next picture here. And sold our fried anchovies with an aioli dipping sauce and pickled sweet peppers to tens of thousands of people around New York, and really enjoyed that experience. Around the same time, my creative writing degree that I'd received from college up there led me to a job writing grant proposals for a U.S. government contractor that worked on contract for the U.S. Department of State and U.S. Agency for International Development. It turned out to be an interesting turn of events that led me from writing grant proposals, sitting in an office in New York, to eventually pursuing a project management track and traveling all over the world, meeting very interesting people, and getting a view into how U.S. government humanitarian contracts help with girls' education and water quality projects and all kinds of things in developing countries. So I was the guy that would go out and do research for project designs that were needed, and also audit projects once they were funded by Congress. So Cambodia, working with, actually that last picture, if you notice, that's working with the women fish sorters in southern Cambodia. I always was looking for fisheries and nature in my travels, and had plenty of opportunity to find it. So, Andy, keep going through there if you would. This is from South India. and working with refugees from the north of Sri Lanka that were taken in South India. Working with tribal leaders on the border between Afghanistan and Pakistan with a beard to match the local custom. Let's see, what's next? These are the children of refugees from the war in Afghanistan living in Pakistan. And working with Hamid Karzai's education commissioner in the just inside the Pakistani border. If you were able to see the full picture there, you would tell that we've all got our shoes off. You take your official meetings barefoot in that part of the world. So around this time, between Bon Jovi and traveling all over the planet for work, I experienced some burnout and decided that I was really missing St. Petersburg and wanted to return home. So my partner, Danielle Dolly, who lives here with me in St. Pete, she and I returned to St. Petersburg, where I restarted my fishing charter business. And pretty early on in the experience of taking out tourists to our area and getting back into being on the water every day, I started to realize that there were abandoned crab traps that had been cut off by where the buoys and line cut by passing boats, or a storm rips them apart. I started to see these derelict traps all over the place. And that's really important because these derelict traps contribute to something called ghost fishing, where a trap is lost to its angler, but it continues to function and to trap and kill marine life. And when the critters go into the trap, they die because they can't find their way back out, and they act as bait for the next cycle of marine life to come in behind them. So I was trying to make an impact, and so was Danielle. We were doing all kinds of, little missions by ourselves around the bay to clean things up whenever we could. And she would always stop my fishing experiences out there to get me to pick this up or pick that up. And eventually we started to see that it was a bigger problem than we were going to be able to handle all by ourselves. And we started to brainstorm about ways that I might be able to utilize the US government contracting experience to find us a grant and to organize volunteers in a larger fashion and make a bigger impact. And so what we started doing was considering the branding that we would bring to this project, and also talking about the mapping that we were going to use. We started cruising around Tampa Bay and putting together a map of the locations where we were seeing the biggest issues. Here's the map. And so around this time, we started talking to our local policymakers and investigating what grant opportunities were available. We started looking at the branding component, and we realized right away that the creative component of our project, the branding, the logo, videos, that kind of thing, were going to be really critical to getting volunteers out to our events and informing people about what we were doing, and starting to have this snowball effect. So we got with Andrew at Roundhouse Creative, and we also got with Jimmy Breen at Wax and Hive, and we put together some really cool branding for this project. Andrew, if you could show them the logo. So here was the design on the left is a design we ended up going with that we're absolutely crazy about. In one image, it sort of piques people's interest and gets them talking about, why is this crab wearing a cowboy hat? What is the Ghost Trap Rodeo? And, where can I learn more about it? So this is something that made a really big impact for us in terms of being able to find funding for our project by exciting the interest of donors and also exciting volunteers to come out and participate with us. The image on the right is one of Jimmy and his team at Wax and Hive's creative concepts that we were considering and hope to still consider for another incarnation of the Ghost Trap Rodeo. It's all part of some really wonderful collateral that they've put together for us. So like I said, this branding has been important for exciting the local community, but also for awards for donations and such, and gathering the resources that we need to support our programming. So Andrew, would it make sense to go ahead and show the videos now? Before we show the videos, this is Congressman Charlie Crist, who was an early supporter of our project, along with his office team that came out to participate with us in an early ghost trap rodeo where we were trying to gather some data and see what kind of impact we could make. Every event that we do is in partnership with Florida's Fish and Wildlife Conservation Commission and with local government here in Tampa Bay. This slide is a video production that we did with Roundhouse, where we were trying to put together a PSA to explain exactly what the aim of our project was, and why it was important and why people should care in the local community. This had a tremendous impact on getting people informed and gathering some steam behind our project. So Andrew's going to show you the video now.
All right, we're here.
We don't let our closest friends fish our honey holes without us. So why let derelict and abandoned crab traps do it? Research shows that 1 out of every 10 traps becomes lost or abandoned, with increased losses after storms, and continue to catch and kill marine life for up to 5 years unchecked. To safeguard our fishery, visit oceanaid360.org to learn proper trap placement and fishing techniques from Tampa Bay's finest anglers. This message brought to you by OceanAid 360, CCA Florida, and Tampa Bay Watch, supported by NOAA's Marine Debris Program.
So that PSA really helped to get our message across about why we were taking up this project and why volunteers should be concerned, and the community at large should be concerned about this ghost fishing phenomenon. So that coupled with this next video we're going to show you, which is our actual event commercial, also produced by Roundhouse. Between these two videos and also our branding that Wax and I have put together, we really felt like we had the collateral necessary to communicate our message effectively and to have a good start on this project. Andrew, please go ahead.
Hey anglers, boaters, and paddlers, listen up. The Ghost Trap Rodeo is here. Just like your favorite fishing tournaments, but instead of reds and trout, we'll be weighing in abandoned crab traps and marine debris for $25,000 in prizes. Our rodeos are monthly between October and March, family-friendly and free, with giveaways and refreshments for wranglers. Your estuary needs you. So join us for one, some, or all of the 6 rodeo events next on January 19th at Little Manatee River. Registration and event details at oceanaid360.org.
So you guys, by this point in our process, we had won a grant award from NOAA's Marine Debris Program. I'm sure you all will know this, but that's the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration. They do all of your weather reporting and a lot of environmental science, and they fund community projects like ours each year. So they provided us with a grant of almost $100,000 to get prizes, all the supplies that we needed for volunteers for their safety, tarps and medical kits and all kinds of stuff like that to conduct our events. And also it included a budget for advertising over social media and Google ads. So these events that we held, they would typically receive about, let's see, between 50 and 60 volunteers at each event. And we conducted them in 7 locations. As you saw in the video, it was about once per month. And each event would start with a real short training to inform people about the issue around ghost fishing, the impact that these derelict crab traps and other forms of marine debris were having on our environment, and sensitive marine grass beds and all kinds of things like that, the habitat. So right away with the media that we had together and our grant funding, we were able to really start gathering some steam. And you can see here that we went from the days of Danielle and I out there picking up cigarette butts on the beach and pulling ghost traps out and pulling debris, just the two of us, 4 hands all together. Now we had 120 hands, you know. So the impact that we were able to make really grew exponentially. And one of the coolest things about this project was the fact that all different kinds of people came, young people, older people, people of all different political affiliations. It was something that the community could rally behind with bipartisan support. So I thought that was really fabulous. And the evidence is the fact that we had Marco Rubio's office staff out there participating with us, as well as Charlie Crist's office staff out there. I think it's one of the few things they agreed on over the last couple of years. So at the events, we were gathering up tires, all these crab traps. We found office chairs, strollers, grocery carts, all kinds of strange things. And you can see here some of our participants bringing in the different finds for the day. And their search would consist of a 4-hour search, just a half day. And they would help us load the things into the trailer. And the way that our system works is that we give them a certain number of points, say 25 points for each crab trap that they bring in. And then we weigh the non-crab trap items and give them a number of points per pound of debris, man-made non-trap debris that they bring in. We put together a leaderboard, provide them with cold drinks and catered sandwiches and everything while we're waiting for the leaderboard to come together, get some group shots, and we provide everybody with some gift bags that are sponsored by different fishing tackle companies and local companies. And everybody sees the points come together on the leaderboard, and top collectors are eligible for some really fantastic prizes. As it said in the video, we gave away over $25,000 in retail value of prizes, fishing rods, coolers, guided fishing trips, cast nets, fishing reels, all kinds of stuff. That picture alone, you're probably looking at $3,000 worth of gear. So, you know, over the past year of this program, our volunteers collected 416 crab traps. They collected 23,619 pounds of crab traps and other forms of marine debris. Our trailer loads were getting larger and larger, and our participation getting larger and larger like that. And FWC, the state fisheries managers, contacted us and said, hey, we're watching your project and we're noticing that you all are coming up with all of these blue crab trap, wire mesh, all this material. And they said, we actually have a couple of pilot oyster reef restoration programs around the state. And we think that your crab trap material would be the perfect base layer if we could pin it down in areas where the water quality is bad, and have that organic matter that's already on these structures begin to attract new larval oysters and filter the water out in these areas of bad water quality. So this picture that you see here is Oyster Man Dan, and he's up on the Amelia River on the Florida-Georgia boundary line, just north of Jacksonville. And this is the project that his group, the St. Mary's River Keepers, are doing in coordination with the state of Florida to put out these blue crab trap base layers and attract new larval oyster life to filter bad water quality areas. So as of today, we've donated something like, gosh, the 416 traps equate to probably 5,000 pounds of trap materials. As you can see, all along the shoreline here, they've got these oyster reefs begun, and they're functioning now to filter out the water. So this is really important in the perpetuation of healthy scallops and lobsters and fish and finfish and all kinds of things like that. like you see here in these slides. And that's a redfish caught here in Tampa Bay at Wheaton Island, and lobster from down in the Keys. And as you look at these images, you can get an idea of how a project like this is important to a local economy for counties and for the state, and also the national economy, because it helps Florida's fisheries and our ability to maintain healthy stocks of marine life. So really excited to talk to you about that, and I hope you find it interesting and that you all will join us at the next Ghost Trap Rodeo. We're being looked at for 2 years of continuation funding because this project has proved to be such a success. And for you all special today, I want to talk to you just a little bit about the way that creatives impacted our project and our ability to have success out there on the water, but also in tracking down the resources that we needed. Something that made a big impact for us was having that dedicated marketing budget that included funding for creative design and also for advertising. One way that creatives can partner with nonprofits like us is that when nonprofit organizations are applying for government grants, oftentimes they're required to match their request with community contributions. So basically that means if you ask for the federal government for $100,000 in funding, you need to demonstrate that you're providing an additional $100,000 in either cash or in services. And the services that we receive from Wax and Hive and from Roundhouse really helped us to make up that community match. And it's important to note that these services are not provided for free. We actually had cash from the project to be able to pay out for these services. But by having these companies that care about our mission and wanted to share this endeavor with us, they reduced their rate just a little bit to show some counterpart contribution toward the project. And it helps us to make up this amount that we need to make the one-to-one match and become competitive for a federal grant. Beyond that, let's see. So the media and the branding that we had was huge in helping us articulate our vision and our mission, and snowballing this project. And it's a large part of the reason that we're up for 2 years of continuation funding and slated to grow right now with a lot of interest from Florida's fisheries managers and NOAA on the federal government side. And it's a big reason that they are looking at us to expand this model and media around the state of Florida to other hotspot areas and estuaries. And finally, I want to let you all know that if you're interested in pursuing U.S. government grants to fund your own passions or nonprofits, there are two really great repositories for that information. One is grants.gov, which is the federal government's main website where they post all of the grant opportunities that are coming available, as well as background information on how to become competitive for them. And the other website is usaspending.gov, which explains it's a searchable database of all of the local entities or entities around the country that have won U.S. government grants for different initiatives. So it gives you an opportunity to see who is working in a similar area, or if there's a grant that you're interested in applying for, you can see who won it last time and hopefully aid in your research toward becoming competitive. And finally, if you ever have any questions for me as part of the Creative Mornings community, if you want to reach out to me to ask about grants and how to become competitive for them, or how to make a good application, or how to involve yourself in the Ghost Trap Rodeo and our work with OceanAid 360, I invite you to contact me. Our website is oceanaid360.org, and we're on Facebook at we have a Facebook hashtag, the Ghost Trap. It's just Ghost Trap Rodeo, where you can pull up a lot of our content, videos and images and all kinds of things like that. So thank you all for having me today. Really appreciate the opportunity to address the Creative Mornings community, And I wish you all the best.
Thank you, Neill. So
Thanks.
yeah, that was awesome. I mean, I'm really looking forward to actually doing that the next time you host it. So we're going to do a little Q&A. You can ask questions of Neill or Jason, I think, if he's still here. So maybe specify, or maybe it'll be obvious. So as a reminder, we're doing this through Slido. So go to sli.do, enter the code SPNature, and then ask your question. If you don't have a question, you can go and see what everybody else is asking and then upvote ones that you want answered. So I'll just read from the top. And then while you're doing that, we're going to take a moment to say thank you to our global partners. So I'm going to turn it over to India to do that.
Alrighty. So our first global partner that we want to thank WordPress.com, our official partner for web publishing. We have a cute little internet home on the global Creative Mornings site, thanks to WordPress.com. There you can relive your favorite talks, watch ones you've missed through our videos and photos. You can also find details on our upcoming events and just kind of bop around to learn everything about us and the other chapters around the world. WordPress.com is currently offering free 30-minute webinars every day for anyone who's interested in learning more about how to build a website or bring their business online. You can check out topics, watch recent recordings, and register today. The link is going to get dropped into the chat. And we also want to thank MailChimp, our global partner for marketing. Each month, we send out 2 emails with all the details about our events, and sometimes we might throw some fun things to click on in there. MailChimp makes it easy for us to have control over the content and design of our emails and send them out to everyone we love without any drama. At a time when things are far from business as usual, Paul Jarvis has teamed up with MailChimp and is sharing his thoughtful conversations with small business owners and entrepreneurs negotiating new economic realities. You can check out the podcast on MailChimp Presents, and that link is also in the chat. And finally, we would like to thank Basecamp, our global partner for project management. Remote work is all about communication, and this is something our friends at Basecamp know a lot about. You can discover some tips by reading through Basecamp's internal communication guide to communication, which they've generously published for all of us to see. And that link is also in the chat. Alrighty, over to you, Tara.
Thank you, India, and thank you to our global partners. They help keep us going. Okay, so Miles's question just shot to the top. So if you don't know who Miles Featherson Rush is, he is, I think he's the CEO of Kids Saving Oceans and a former speaker. So he would like to know, can kids help with the rodeo? I would really like to. So Neill, you want to speak to that?
Yes, they absolutely can. Kids can either participate in the shoreline walk component, or if their family or friends that they've come to the event with have a vessel, then they participate as part of that group. Usually on each boat we have 3 or 4 people, and kids are always in the mix. And we make it really kid friendly by having some prizes dedicated just to them. And in this new phase of our programming that we're just about to begin, we've actually programmed in a youth ambassadors component where kids actually have like a kids club dedicated to the reduction of derelict fishing gear and marine debris. So yeah, glad to have kids in the mix, and thanks a lot for the question, Miles.
Sweet. All right, Miles. Okay, so Miles, get all your small friends together and let's go rodeo. I think that's a plan. 4 people would like to know, can we get a tour of that houseboat?
Yeah, of course you can. It's not quite ready for a full 360 tour, but here, I'll give you a quick view of it. So our captain's chair doubles as a computer chair. Can turn around right here and work from the desk. 360 vista views, sink, refrigerator down there, air conditioning, 135 horses on the back, so you can get from place to place pretty quickly. and a long breakfast bar with stools underneath for taking a look out and watching participants in the Ghost Trap Rodeo, or for having breakfast together here in the houseboat.
Sweet. How do you know when a trap has been abandoned? Also, follow up. How do you recognize crab traps in the water?
That's a great question. So basically, we know a trap is derelict when it's missing its buoy and its line that tethers the buoy to the trap. Like I was saying in my presentation, we have an issue pretty commonly where boaters running at nighttime or just maybe inexperienced or don't see it because of conditions will clip the line with their propellers as they're running by, which sends the buoy floating in one direction and the trap remains in place to continue fishing. So let's see, what was the other question? How do you find the traps? That's a great question. So here in Tampa Bay and in lots of other estuarine environments around Florida, our water quality is good enough to be able to do sight fishing, where we're actually stalking individual fish up against the shoreline or on the grass beds and casting a lure or a bait to them with the hope of having a bite and catching them. I'm sure you guys have seen these kinds of locations out on the front of St. Pete Beach, or if you're not in our area, surely you have some areas of water quality around you where you can see the bottom. So we employ that same methodology, moving very slowly in a vessel or even on foot along shorelines and grass beds and shoals out in our bodies of water. And instead of looking for sport fish for the day, we're looking for derelict crab traps and other types of marine debris.
Sweet. Somebody else wants to know, are folks getting in the water like by snorkeling or diving to gather trash during these rodeos?
That's a great question. So we're able, through our grant contract with the government, we're allowed to have people with a mask and snorkel to detect traps and to participate a little bit in the actual collection of those traps, like pulling them from the bottom. But due to liability concerns, we're not allowed to incorporate diving at this time or having those snorkelers become participating in a situation where they might get entangled in a trap line or something like that. So it's something that we have to be careful with, but snorkelers are definitely involved in the search for traps.
That makes sense. Do you work with the Tampa Bay Watch?
Yes, we work with Tampa Bay Watch very closely. They're one of our main project partners on the Ghost Trap Rodeo. We also work closely with Clearwater Marine Aquarium and a selection of local businesses that have rallied around this project for support. So Tampa Bay Watch, they largely participate with us in providing some of the data analysis of our collections of marine life and such. For example, over the course of the last year of the Ghost Trap Rodeo, we know that we collected 919 living marine animals. That ranges from horseshoe crabs to stingrays to sheep's head, snapper, all kinds of things. And they also have us looking for non-native species as well, so that they can inform fisheries management in our area.
That's awesome. This is my question. How important are those partnerships, and like how have you gone about forming them? Like, did they come to you? Did you go to them? How did that all work out?
Well, I think the truth is that passion is contagious. So pursuit of partners to come and help you really execute a project design. It's not so hard when you have the passion for it and you're able to communicate your vision and your design clearly. Obviously, it can't go without saying that the research and understanding a bit of the process of grants administration and project management is very, very welcomed and important when you're pursuing partners. They like to have trust that you understand the process and that you're going to be able to execute what you say you intend to do.
Smart. I don't think Jason is still on. He probably had other things to tend to at Boyd Hill. But if you know the answer to these questions, maybe we have some Boyd Hill aficionados in the group. The question for him was, is Phantom still around? # favorite bird ever. So if you know who Phantom is and you know if they're still around, you can pop that answer into the chat. And then, I lost my place. Neill, do you still run a fishing charter? Anonymous wants to explore the waters with this dude and crew.
I sure do. Yeah, my website is gofishtampabay.com. Hopefully you're able to hear that. I got a little mute window there, but my site is gofishtampabay.com, and happy to talk with you about it. Or if you want to give a call, I'm happy to give fishing reports and some tips if you're interested in shore-based fishing by yourself. And to answer Jimmy's question and Sarah's question from the chat, the total collected number of pounds was 26,391 pounds of derelict crab traps and other forms of marine debris by 350 volunteers across 7 events located around Tampa Bay.
So somebody come back through that chat and see who won. Sarah says, will you speak to our students at St. Pete College? Look, another speaking engagement.
Yeah, it'd be my pleasure. Yeah, and I also noticed that Sarah Herndon from Tampa Bay Watch just popped up in the chat. Folks ought to know that Sarah and her group at Tampa Bay Watch have been conducting derelict crab trap roundups here in Tampa Bay for years. They are the OGs of this kind of work, and we are so thankful that they didn't see us as a competitor or anything like that from the get-go. We had their support and continue to work together today and into the future. And we're so delighted by that partnership, and especially thankful to Sarah for the work that she's done on behalf of our estuary here.
Awesome. Thank you, Sarah. One last question. Is there talk of redesigning traps in some way to reduce the risk of them being abandoned?
Yeah, that's a great question. And one thing that we're actually working on is a partnership with one of the captains from the television show Deadliest Catch. His name is Sig Hansen, and he's developed a really interesting addition that can be made to blue crab traps and other types of crab traps around the world, where it actually has like a secondary buoy. So if your first line and buoy is cut by a boat or a storm rips it off or something like that, it's got a certain time release mechanism in this little component that you would add to your trap. And after a certain number of days, let's say 90 days or whatever, it pops and a secondary buoy floats to the surface to give you a second chance to retrieve it. So that's something we're working on piloting through the Ghost Trap Rodeo.
That's awesome. Are there other designs in other areas, or is it just like all crab traps across all waterways are basically designed the same?
They're not designed the same. In fact, without getting too far into the weeds here, our 2 crabs that we pursue in Tampa Bay area waters are blue crabs and stone crabs. And blue crab traps are those wire mesh traps that you saw in my pictures, whereas stone crab traps look more like a plastic milk crate, and they're filled with concrete on the bottom, makes them about 40 pounds each. And so there are different approaches based on the kinds of trap. And a lobster trap, like you find down in the Keys, is completely different as well. So these require like local solutions. There's absolutely some capability to expand the model that we're working with through the Ghost Trap Rodeo. But you can see based upon the different trap designs that exist county to county, that it takes some critical thinking and bringing in some experts from commercial fishing to science to civil society to bring these people together at the table to orchestrate some local solutions and make the impact you intend.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for doing that for our community. So that was the end of our questions. So we're going to go ahead and wrap it up today. Thank you so much to Neill, Jason, Ed, Nikhil, Gio, my Sunshine Squad, our partners, especially Roundhouse Creative, and thank you all for joining us this morning for nature. If you have a second, please fill out the one question poll that will be popping up on your screen shortly. And then go ahead and save the date for April 26th. We'll be back to talk about insecurity. Oh, should be an interesting one. And before it's all gone, hop on some of our merch. You can call, you can text, you can email, you can DM. Got just a few things left. And then have a great rest of your Friday and a wonderful weekend. We love you. Hope you get some time in nature. We'll see you next month.